I consider myself a devil's advocate of the Obama administration, and particularly President Obama, because I know that being the President of the United States, the leader of the free world, it can't be an easy job. It's got to be full of stress. And honestly, there are tons of people who give the president shit. It's been that way for years. But anytime any politician wants to tax violent video games because they think it will prevent these tragedies, these sick people from going around on killing sprees, it just makes me shake my head because it's ridiculous. I mean, I could maybe see the gun control issue. I know that that's a hot button issue. A lot of people are either very much for it or very much against it. I personally think it couldn't hurt to maybe have a little bit more security in terms of background checks or psychological screening that has to be done before you get your hands on a gun. I'm not saying we ban guns, I'm just saying that might be a good idea. But what makes even less sense than an argument entirely based on blaming guns is an argument based entirely on blaming media of any kind. Particularly video games in this case, but really, anytime you go and blame music or movies or video games for someone's violent behavior, it makes no fucking sense. Because there are thousands upon thousands, millions of people who play video games and are just fine. This game, I play this game a lot. It's fun. It's a whole lot of fun. So, why haven't I killed anybody yet? I play this game so much, you would think, oh, if violent video games equal violent behavior, why haven't I killed anybody? Guess I haven't gotten my money's worth out of this game. And this game. I played this game probably more than I played Saints Row 2. Why haven't I tried to be Batman? Well, I don't have the financial resources, and, fighting crime in a vigilante capacity is kind of a bad idea, but I've played this game so much, why haven't I tried to be Batman? I don't know, I guess I haven't got my money's worth out of this game. It's because it makes no fucking sense. Yeah, you can play a violent video game and not be violent. Imagine that. And what it really boils down to is the ability to differentiate reality from fiction. I can tell when I watch a movie that I'm watching something fictional. Doesn't mean I enjoy it less, doesn't mean I have less fun. It just means that when it's all said and done, I know that it's all fake. But I guess some people don't know the difference. And are you really gonna punish everyone for just the few people who don't know the difference? Because that doesn't really make sense. And really, especially taxing violent video games, this is some reverse Robin Hood bullshit, because there are some people, myself included, who play video games and really honestly don't have that much money. There are a lot of people who play video games who struggle just to buy a new game every couple of months, because they don't have the financial means to go out and spend $60 every couple of weeks when a new game comes out. And you're going to tax people another $10, $15 for violent video games and make the prices of video games go way the hell up because you think it's too violent? Fuck you. Fuck you. That's bullshit. Do you know how hard it is for me just to scrounge up $60 every time I want a new game? It's basically impossible. And politicians, it's not exactly like they're strapped for cash. These motherfuckers are the 1%. When you talk about the 99% of people and then the 1% who can buy 10 houses, and that's them. And what pisses me off more is the fact that a lot of these politicians like have never played a video game in their fucking life. And like you ask them like, all right, what video games are violent? And they're like, violent video games. They don't really specify. It's too broad of a term. So they could apply this tax to literally like every video game ever. And just line their fucking pockets. And it really pisses me off because of the fact that so many of these politicians don't know what the hell they're talking about. They've never played the games they're talking about. They've never played a game in general. And maybe it's because they're too old. Maybe it's because they're, politicians and they don't have enough time to just sit back and enjoy a good video game. Do you know how cathartic it can be to pick up a video game and, if it's like a fighting game like Mortal Kombat, just beat the shit out of someone, or like a shoot 'em up game like Halo, just go crazy and run into a room with a bunch of aliens, fucking assault rifle, and just kill a bunch of alien things, and and it's not that you yourself are becoming that violent. You're just you're just hitting buttons on a controller, and you play for a couple hours, and it's like, that was pretty fun. That was pretty fun. Just because you play a game doesn't mean that you're going to immediately go out and copy what you did in the game. I've played Hitman games. I have never once dressed up in a suit with a red tie and said, let me go shave my head, get a tattoo of a barcode on the back, and let me go garrote wire some people and just fucking choke people to death. I don't even know where you would get garrote wire. What, Home Depot? I don't fucking know where you get that shit. But my point is that violent video games and violent behavior actually have no real correlation with one another. There is absolutely no evidence to prove it. And as far as I can tell, human beings have been violent long before video games. It's been said before by other people many times, and it's true. I mean, what do you want to do? Go back in time and see what video games were Hitler playing to make him so violent and evil? What video games was Genghis Khan playing? Yeah, that motherfucker, he was really violent. He must have been playing some like GTA shit like every day. And what about Cain? Because Cain killed Abel, and there were only 4 people on the planet, and he killed Abel, so he must have been playing some really violent video games. Oh, yeah, they had really violent video games in the Garden of Eden, let me tell you. But it just pisses me off so much because a lot of the video games that I play would be considered violent by these fucking politicians. So that would basically mean that if something like that were to pass, I would have to pay extra money on every video game that I get. And that is complete bullshit. I mean, they were talking about the proceeds going to the families that were affected by these kinds of tragedies, and that I don't have a problem with. That's the only part about it that doesn't piss me off. But the fact that video games are expensive enough as it is, the fact that you would raise the price just because you think that it causes all these tragedies, it doesn't. Like, you are wrong. Could not be further from the truth. Like, you are so far from sanity that you need a GPS just to find your way back. And it's ridiculous that these politicians keep trying to pull this shit. Not just in the federal government, state governments do this shit too. There was something not long ago in Missouri, I think it was, that had a similar thing. They were going to tax violent video games. And all that does is line the pockets of all these politicians in the government, and it takes money away from us for no good reason. And it's absolute bullshit. And I cannot think of any more ways to say that it's bullshit. And I think that we as gamers, we as people, we as citizens of this nation need to stand up and say to our government, no, it's not video games. Taxing violent video games is not going to solve the problem. And you know what? Maybe it isn't even guns, like I said before. I think the real problem is mental health. I think there are too many people with mental health problems that don't get the help that they need. And then shit happens and they just go crazy and they snap. The answer is not taxing violent video games. The answer may not even be gun control, even though I think, a little bit of more security would probably be a good idea, but the real problem is mental health. People have mental health issues that need professional help. They need people to support them. They need people to say, look, you might have a mental health issue. Maybe something in your mind, something in your body is not quite right. But that's okay. You need to get help. It cannot hurt, and in fact it would help a lot for these kinds of people before they would be able to go and do anything crazy. At the first sign, just say, hey, look, something might be wrong. We're your friends or family or whatever. We're here to support you. If you need help, we will get you the help that you need. And that, my friends, is the real problem. Not much else I can say except for taxing video games just because you think they cause violent behavior. They don't. And that's not going to solve anything. All it's going to do is piss people off. So, that being said, that's pretty much my opinion on it. And I would encourage anyone and everyone who sees this, even if it's just one person who sees this, voice your opinion. Stand up to the government and say that it's not right to tax us for no reason, really. Say, if you want to tax us on violent video games, provide proof, actual proof, not numbers that you made up, not figures that you just had some scientists or psychologists paid off to run the numbers for you and say, hey, slip them an extra 20 or 100, be like, hey, make it look like violent video games cause violent behavior. Actual proof that violent video games cause violent behavior, which you won't be able to get because it's not true, but you should not be able to tax violent video games unless you can prove that they actually cause violent behavior, which, spoiler alert, they don't. So without that proof that doesn't exist, you shouldn't be allowed to tax violent video games. And you know what? I think I've ranted enough about this. That's pretty much all I have to say. If you have something to say about it, don't hesitate. Because it's an important issue for gamers. It's an important issue in general. And it's something that needs to be discussed by everyone. So that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed my rantings and ravings. Leave a comment if you want. Do whatever. See ya.